So you're looking at the foothills just west of the greater Denver metro area. You're looking at Evergreen, CONIFER, and Bailey. And you're like, I'm trying to figure out which one of these areas is the best fit for me. Well, don't worry. We got your back. Josh and I, we are going to walk you through the differences between each one of these communities, kind of with the pros and the cons, so you can get a better feel for which one should be the place that you call home. Let's go.
Hey, welcome back everyone. My name is Josh O'Shea and I'm with Sean Murphy, and we love making videos about what it's like to live here in Colorado, so just west of the greater Denver metro area. And if that is something you guys are into, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified each time Sean and I push out one of these videos, because we might just have the correct answer that you're looking for. So let's dive on into this one. We're talking about Evergreen, CONIFER, and Bailey, the pros and cons about what it's like to be in each town, and maybe specifically what you're looking for to know about, do I want to live in Bailey, CONIFER, or Evergreen?
That was great. I'm going to move my buddy because it looked like you had a second head above your head.
Well, just keep him there.
Yeah, here's you. We'll put him over here.
It's our mascot now.
He is something. So we're going to talk about like location, just the basic stuff like location, what type of properties you're going to be finding in there, the nuances of each, county, because there's a couple different counties that you're going to be living in here. And at the end, we're going to talk about like the community events and why some areas have more larger events than others. So let's start off by just telling them where the hell they are. And we'll start with the big one, because for most of this, you're heading down 285, but Evergreen is the area that straddles 285 and I-70. And so for 285 compared to I-70, it's a little bit slower. It's a little bit windier. It's like 2 lanes for most of the way, and is absolutely gorgeous to be driving up these roads. But the first thing that you're gonna hit, you go through Morrison, and then you'll hit CONIFER. You're gonna hit like Aspen Park area.
Yeah, going down 285. So yeah, once you hit Aspen Park, that is the southern part of Evergreen's and CONIFER plus Bailey's main corridor for shopping. And that gives you, it's kind of your last big stop, especially if you're going from Denver all the way to even, let's say, Fairplay or Buena Vista. That's kind of your last main commercial shopping before you've got an hour drive to the next grocery store from there.
Yeah, I guess let's just roll right into it. We'll start with shopping. So in Evergreen, on the north end, you have like the commercial shopping that you don't have in these other areas. So you're not going to find like a Home Depot and a Walmart in CONIFER or Bailey, but Evergreen has it at the north end. But we don't really consider that like the downtown area. That's like the tip of Evergreen. But Evergreen does have like the downtown area by the lake that is similar, I'd say, kind of similar to Bailey's little downtown area. Yeah. But more, I'd say there's more to do downtown Evergreen. You got the lake there to walk right around, but pretty much everything in Evergreen downtown, for the most part, is like local shops and restaurants and art stores and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
and I would say that is the only major downtown we have between the 3 cities. So between Evergreen, CONIFER, and Bailey, Bailey's got, maybe a mile stretch of a good little downtown.
Not even a mile.
Yeah, I would say less than that. And CONIFER is more of like a needs stop instead of a fun wants stop.
Like a destination shopping.
Yeah, like I need groceries, and I realize that I need to pick up a nail gun.
Okay.
And I need some hay for the cows.
Hay for the cows.
Like that, you're picking up like your last stop before you get home type of stuff. Evergreen's downtown is more, I would say, art district-y and hang out with your friends style.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
While CONIFER is more of a, I gotta get that, I'm not going all the way to town, I'm not going all the way to Denver, I'm gonna stop there. Bailey is kind of like a, didn't even know that existed type of place. Let me go stop in and check that out.
Nobody talks like that.
Yeah, they do.
I love that. Sasquatch Museum.
If you're going to the Sasquatch Museum, you know what I'm talking about. If you want to stop at a giant hot dog on the side of the road, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Bailey does have its own little eclectic taste. CONIFER is kind of a needs stopping center, and Evergreen is more of a let's hang out with my friends and check out this sweet downtown.
Cool. Let's talk about schools. And for schools, we're going to refer to the information coming from greatschools.org. What they're basically telling us, if you want the best elementary school, you're going to be in Evergreen. Marshdale Elementary School and Parmalee Elementary School rated 10 and 9 respectively. Bailey Elementary School, that's Deer Creek Elementary, is a 5 out of 10. And Elk Creek and West Jeff for CONIFER, they are 5 and 6 respectively out of 10. So Evergreen, the elementary schools rated the best. Comes to middle school, not too big of a variance between the different areas. What we have, Evergreen and Bailey were both 7 out of 10, correct? And then CONIFER was a 6 out of 10. But then it comes to high school, and this is where you could start to see a little bit of a separation. I'll let you take this one, Josh.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a little biased, but I can't because we're doing it straight off of the website here. So Evergreen actually got a full 10 out of 10 rating. CONIFER High School got a 9 out of 10. And Bailey, so it's actually called Platte Canyon High School, got a 5 out of 10.
Cool. So that is if you got the little the kiddos, the Rugrats, and they're going to school, that's kind of where they'll be as far as school ratings for all of them. So overall, though, Josh, growing up in the mountains, you think it's a good place to raise kids?
It was awesome. It's awesome. CONIFER was awesome to go to school at, and a lot of my friends are very successful. And then Evergreen is also a wonderful school. I'm only biased because they were our rivals.
Yeah. I'm always like that. It's like, you know what? I never liked this.
Yeah. They were awesome.
So we're gonna talk about just like the types, the variances in the types of houses, and then we'll tell you a little bit about like average price points. But when it comes to HOAs, you will find HOAs in all these areas. But when you're in CONIFER and when you're in Bailey, a lot of it is going to be about like trash removal and road maintenance if you have a private road there. Evergreen is where you're going to find more of these
restrictions like painting, you can't have like privacy, fencing, things like that you're going to see more often in Evergreen than any of the other two towns that we got going on.
And if you really want that kind of like suburban but mountain living, there's like the Highwan neighborhoods that you're going to have like public water, public sewer. But after you get down past like Evergreen Meadows, like South Evergreen, like south of the lake, pretty much everyone's going to be on well and septic.
Yeah.
Once you get over to Bailey is where you're going to have more people that aren't on natural gas. I mean, you could find that in CONIFER as well, but a lot of what Josh calls yard bombs sitting out there. If you ever played video games, like that's what you always shoot to kill.
Blow up the whole thing. Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We do not condone that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't think well or septic should be a huge deterrent. I like having my own water source on my well. And some people are like, oh, I don't know. You just, when it comes to like the septic tank, you just need to be a little bit more careful about what you put down it, like feminine products and
toilet or paper towels, stuff like that. Like
bleach.
Things are not supposed to like break apart. Yeah.
Right.
But having a large septic tank and a good leach field is also it'll just be determined based off of how many bedrooms are in the house. So if you only have a 2-bedroom home, you will only have a 4-person use septic. And that's just something you should just be aware of is when you go look at these homes, is just count your bedrooms and then make sure the septic matches bedrooms.
And then other things like when we're talking about areas, so for the most part, 95% of Evergreen is going to be Jefferson County, with just a small part being Clear Creek County. And then Bailey is going to be part. CONIFER is pretty much mostly Jefferson County.
All
too.
Jefferson, except for that one house that we saw.
Yeah, one house.
I was like, this is in Park County in CONIFER?
Yeah,
like the one.
But then you tell them about taxes.
Yeah, so talking about taxes on Clear Creek County, the very west side of Evergreen is where Clear Creek County is going to hit. Your taxes are significantly lower than what you would have in Jefferson County, and especially in Jefferson County Incorporated. If you're incorporated Evergreen, your taxes are going to be average range between 4,000 to 6,000 is going to be your property tax per year. In Clear Creek County, you're usually looking 2,000 and under, and similar is Park County is 2,000 and under for a single family detached home. So if you're like, hey, taxes are a huge deal for me that I don't want to be paying Big Brother that much, you might want to look at other 2 counties other than Jefferson there.
Another thing though, I say like, it's probably less than where you're coming from if you're coming from a different state, because Colorado, we have like the 5th lowest property taxes in the country. And so there's just, there's a slightly better for these different areas.
Yeah. All right, so now let's talk about internet.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think internet is very important to discuss here about even from each town. So if you're in Bailey, Conifer, and Evergreen, but then per county as Park, Jefferson, and Clear Creek, you're going to be considered what's rural living or more incorporated living instead of rural. There's only a few internet options that we have up here. If you're in Park County, a majority of your internet options is going to be either through Starlink. CenturyLink is out there. It is very hit or miss depending on the terrain that you're at in Bailey. But Starlink has been approved out there, and I have a good amount of people who are saying they're getting 50 megabytes a second minimum, and that is extremely good lately. CONIFER has also the option for Starlink that you can get that, but then your only other option is going to be CenturyLink. Otherwise, it does have to be another satellite provided internet service. So we have like HughesNet and some other smaller rural internet services up here, but your main ones are going to be CenturyLink and Starlink. Those are also going to be determined off of terrain on what kind of quality of megabytes per second that you're going to be pulling. Evergreen has more options for internet. I think, Sean, are you getting CenturyLink? That's who I have.
I am like Verizon.
Oh, yours
Xfinity. Xfinity.
Oh, you have Xfinity. So yeah, that's huge. So we can get Xfinity, you can get CenturyLink. You still have options for Starlink, but you have to be on the wait list because we're not considered rural here in Evergreen. So you can still put in for that, but other than that, then you're back to HughesNet or some other satellite provided. We do not currently have fiber in Evergreen, Conifer, or Bailey. It's coming, but it's not quite there. It's only at 285 in Indian Hill, so it's making its way up here.
Yeah, and before we talk about like prices, price points for each area, I'll just say when it comes to internet, because we absolutely as real estate agents understand like working remotely, that's a lot of people's like drive and motivation to be able to move out here is that you can now work from anywhere, and we completely understand that. It's hard for us to be able to just give you like this area is good for this area is good for that, because just down the road from me, depending on where the house is in the canyon, they might not get much where I'm crushing it here with connectivity. So it is really a house to house thing, but we always just keep that in the back of the minds that internet is super important for you. And before we offer on something or during the under contract inspection period, that is when we can absolutely make sure that those speeds are going to be adequate for you, because we absolutely get that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what we're doing right here.
All right, talking about price points. So there is no debate that Evergreen is the most sought after. When we're looking at our analytics, most people type in Evergreen, but it also is like a pretty big area. There's about 4,000 homes in there. But if you watch our Altitude Living channel, which you should, quick plug for that. Each week, Josh and I, we walk you through every new home hitting all these areas and more. So each new home hitting the market, we walk you through every single one of them from least expensive to most expensive. And if you've been watching that, you will know that Evergreen has the most expensive pricing. Bailey typically has some of the like least expensive homes. So if you're like, I just need to get a really like a starter home, I just want to get into the mountains, right? I don't have like a nice big budget, but I just want to get out there and the commute's not that big of a deal to you. Bailey is the place that you typically see the lowest of those price points, because as soon as you get within that like hour drive to the Front Range, the prices will drop.
Because if you have to work in town, an hour commute can make or break how far you want to be. And Bailey just hits that cusp. You can be within an hour of Denver, but a majority of Bailey is outside of an hour of Denver.
And so we'll hit you real quick with the averages. You look at this chart here. So averages skewed because in Evergreen too, there are more multi-million-dollar properties, but the average for Evergreen right now is $1,065,277. And then Bailey is $560,000 for their average, while CONIFER coming in at a cool $915,522. So it's not exactly cheap compared to the national average, but I am telling you,
it's worth it.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
All right, and then Josh running through. So I think these are sometimes more digestible numbers for a lot of people. Bailey's pretty much the same, but these are the median price. So like the middle number that you'll see most often.
Okay, so running through these is for our medium numbers of Evergreen is going to be 888,500. So that's a good indication that even on our last one we just said is close to over $1 million. That's a pretty high number for the area. So it's super sought after. As for Bailey, it's 550,000 medium home price here. So if you're like, hey, that's similar to a smaller home of Denver that you could be in the mountains with land, that's a great price point. And then CONIFER sitting at 797,000. So right there, almost at that 800,000 mark. So CONIFER and Evergreen, CONIFER's actually coming up.
I think CONIFER is coming up.
CONIFER's coming up.
And all these properties do have about the same days on market. So when a property hits the market until it gets an offer, about a little over a week to 2 weeks. And there's that variance because some people overprice their property and it sits for a while, while others in the area will still hit the market on like a Thursday, Friday, have open house offers over the weekend, and then pick something on Monday. But that is exactly why you gotta call us, especially if you're looking to buy from out of state, because we have to have a good game plan. Because if you're buying from out of state, certain things that we want to do to make sure that the property that you write an offer on is the right one for you, and explain how you can get out if it's not the right one. But oftentimes you will have to be writing an offer based on the video walkthroughs that Josh and I do. So that's why we love to have like a buyer's consultation, so we really understand and walk you through what that looks like so that you're confident and comfortable when that time comes. So hit us up, reach out, shoot us a text, send us an email, do those things.
Yeah, because we know like sometimes you can't just fly out to Evergreen and CONIFER, Colorado to go look at a house, try to write an offer, and hope it's still there.
Because why?
She's only been on the market for on average 14 days. Mm-hmm. And that's even at these higher interest rates. They're still just not sitting that long. So if you guys are serious about looking in the foothills, Evergreen, CONIFER, Bailey of Colorado here, you might want to jump on them.
Get down on it. Okay, let's talk about like who your other neighbors are, because you're gonna have a wildlife. And actually, before we talk about that, I'll just say this, because we don't want to get like too political. But I'd say if you are going from blue or red, right? Okay. As you're closer to the greater Denver metro area Front Range, it's going to be bluer. Mm-hmm. And then as you get back further, not naming areas, but further away, maybe an hour, it feels a little bit more red.
Yes.
So, but however, I always say this to people, because some people, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, and they are super in your face about who they're rooting for. My grandma's from around East Palestine, big train accident that contained explosion that they did. And they are very in your face about who they're voting for. And some people, I think their concern is coming out here. There's like, hey, I don't want to all this stuff to be in my face. And I'd say it's not like that out here. I think people do have strong beliefs and preferences towards one side or another, but I don't think they're very in your face about it.
Oh, come on, sit down, Bob. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I've been here 30 years, and I don't think anyone gives a shit one way or the other what you believe. As long as you don't get in their face, they're not going to get in yours.
Yep, don't start none, won't be none.
Yeah, everyone just wants to hang out.
But let's talk about your other neighbors, the wildlife. So in Evergreen, you're going to get you know, you're gonna have fox, you're gonna have deer, you're gonna have elk, an occasional bear, like a Brook Forest. I see on my Ring doorbell, Brook Forest. Every now and then they get a bear. Upper Bear Creek, they get bear
bears.
for sure. Why?
I get bears in the meadow.
Okay. Yeah.
Not as often, but I do get bears. Surprisingly good amount of coyotes. Not too many lions. Not too many mountain
lions.
Yeah, not too many mountain lions here in Evergreen.
And what I think CONIFER is fairly the same. Do they get as many elk?
I don't actually think they get as many elk because of their elevation.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of friends who live over there, and they're not seeing as much elk, seeing way more deer, a lot more bear. And then if you're on the south side and going closer towards Littleton, it actually gets a little more arid out there, and there's a lot more mountain lions.
And Bailey is known for having more mountain lion spottings out that way. So, I mean, in all the areas, you need to be a little bit more...
Yeah, I did forget, though. CONIFER has way more moose.
I haven't seen a moose. I've been here over 15 years.
CONIFER's got a ton of moose.
Where?
Yeah, I'll show you.
How have I not seen any?
Yeah, well, you haven't been really looking.
Yeah, I missed them.
I am not crazy. Whoever said you were? We understand.
I haven't.
You didn't see the monster coming through?
So, okay, I've been here 15 years. I have not seen a mountain lion, but then I had a client that moved up from, gosh, were they in Texas or Kentucky? But they had moved up here, and within the first week, the wife on the way back from from work hit a mountain lion.
Hit one?
Hit one.
Good Lord.
Yeah, because mountain lions they probably see you, but you don't see them.
Yeah.
But also, that's another reason why I drive a little bit slower and more cautious, because the elk and the deer, they'll be right on the side of the road, just nibbling. And if you're not paying attention, they'll zoom across the street. And so it is, you're always seeing dead deer on the side of the road because somebody maybe going too fast or they jumped out, whatever. But they're out there. And then I guess we'll address too with the wildlife. So that's why you oftentimes see most people don't let their animals just roam free. If you have a cat, typically it's an inside cat or it's a snack cat for some animal. And then for like yard, most people, like my dog will stay around the house. He's not going to go too far. But a lot of people will just have like a small enclosed area that their dog can go out to at night and come back in safely. So we love our dogs and we don't want them to get eaten.
Yeah, it happens and it's sad. So do your best to make sure when you're up here, do a little dog run. But
in the end, if your dog gets got, you were giving them the best life that they've probably had.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get you with a little bit of climate. We're going to talk about growth, which areas we're seeing expand the most, and then we'll finish up talking about like the sense of community that each area kind of has, but they do it at different levels and in different ways. So let's talk about climate.
So climate, I would say Evergreen is probably the lowest in elevation of the three towns in some areas.
I was going to say Bailey, I think, is low too.
Bailey has low points. Evergreen is mostly meadow, and then a few ranges coming through. So that's where, as you can see, Evergreen is the one with the lake. We've got the most amount of canyons going into the lake, giving us that water. But it's going to be lower in elevation, except when you go closer to Clear Creek County. Clear Creek County, then, you're going towards the Continental Divide and seeing those awesome 14ers. So you have some homes that are Evergreen zip code, Evergreen Township, and they're at almost 11,000 feet.
Yeah, like Snyder Mountain.
Yeah, going up into Squaw Pass area.
Pass.
Yeah, you're just like, good Lord, that person lives up there and they have 3 feet of snow after November, and it's there until May.
And then, just so you know, as a point of reference to the greater Denver metro area, the climate is amazing out here. We have beautiful clear skies, low humidity, but when you come into the foothills, you're looking about 10 to 15 degrees less. So it's always hoodie weather up here at night, but that's why people get hoodies and hot tubs.
Yeah.
That's what you need. Yeah, climate, and then like when they talk about snow, each area is going to get snow I don't know if there's going to be a huge difference unless you're like the higher in elevation.
Yeah.
That rain just turns into snow more often. But for the most part, our snow is really nice. If you're coming like from the East Coast, it's a much like nicer, drier, lighter, fluffier snow. It's easier to manage.
Yeah, and it melts off quicker because we have so many sunny days. Once that sun hits that snow, because it's so light and fluffy, it's usually off the roads within a day or two at most, even on a big snowstorm. It's really not that bad. It's extremely manageable compared to what people think we get as Colorado, and is like, yes, if you're on the western slope, yes, if you're on the Continental Divide, you're going to have year-round snow. Here in Evergreen, Conifer, and Bailey, it hits, it melts. It hits, it melts. And it's like, so, I mean, there's been a couple of Novembers and early Decembers, we didn't even have snow on the ground. Luck of the year, I guess.
Yeah, we get most snow in like February and March too. Most people don't know that. All right, next we'll talk about which areas are growing the most. And I'll just say before I do, you have a couple points that you want to make. A lot of people come up and they're like, hey, I want like new construction in the mountains. Well, what's different about the mountains is you don't get like a builder coming out and doing like a master plan community. It's normally like splinters of roads that give access to these lots that are now buildable. And so when you're coming up thinking about like, hey, I want a newer construction home, unless you really are super aggressive in wanting to build, we happy to help you out with that, finding a great piece of land and letting you know what to think about. But a lot of people will go with like a teardown or something that's already existing but a little bit newer because you don't have to worry about like the driveway permit, the well, the septic, and all that extra planning stuff that goes into it.
Yeah, so I just think that what we're seeing right now is everyone, of course, is like, they're pretty familiar with Evergreen. So they have this idea that Evergreen is the town to be at. But we're actually seeing a good amount of growth for expanding is actually in Conifer. Conifer is, as we've been watching this video, you've seen like actually price increasing on homes because people are getting larger lots, almost bigger homes, but the actual corridor of Aspen Park all the way down, it's expanding as a community. And so people are getting a little more together. Evergreen is kind of already big. Already has everything it needs. Maybe you'll see a new restaurant pop up, but it's not really going to be like, hey, we're going to be throwing up some huge condos everywhere, because like the lots are kind of sold. Like everything is kind of where it's already going to be at, and it's just the community events that are going on. Bailey has the biggest chance if internet can keep up. If internet can get its way out there to give you solid megabytes per second download speed, Bailey has the best chance to become the new hotness, as Sean likes to say, because it's still within 1 hour. Within 1 hour of Denver, but if you can work remotely, that is the potential to be a big growing community.
It's nice if I wanted to get out of my place, which I don't. I usually just work on my porch, but if I wanted to, Evergreen does have several spots that I can go to get internet. I could go over to Aspen Park. I could. There's the Conifer Cafe. There's like Brooks Place Tavern, but they're more like bars and restaurant type feel over there. All right, but when I'm going into like Bailey, even if I go to the Naughty Pine down there, like internet sucks. I get no phone service, so I normally will like make my way back up to like Crossroads or something to get work done if I need to.
Yeah.
But then like community events, you will feel a difference depending on which area you're in.
Yeah, so Conifer, I agree with you, Sean, a lot of people are going to go from Conifer and go to the Evergreen events, or even go down to Bailey and do a Bailey event. Conifer usually has about one good summertime event.
They get a little parade. I saw a parade.
Yeah, just that. I think that's the only one. And then they do like a couple of cool like charity runs up in Conifer, but not too many bigger events. If you're looking for community events, Evergreen is your beast. Yeah. Evergreen has the option to shut down some roads to allow, like the parade to come through for the Evergreen Rodeo. There's a Thanksgiving parade.
The Polar Ice Plunge.
Yeah, the Polar Ice Plunge in the lake. They have the Evergreen Triathlon. They've got the Big Chili Cook-Off. Evergreen just has more of an opportunity to allow better flow of traffic. Yeah. if you're in Bailey and Conifer, you're kind of, we have one corridor. Like, you're going down 285. If you shut down 285, like,
don't shut down 285.
yeah, where's everyone gonna go? Like, there's our one road. It's like South Park, like in Canada. So it's our one road. Yeah, you can't shut that down.
Follow the only road. Follow the only road.
Bailey still has events though, but Bailey is it's like a hyper local advertised event.
Yeah.
Because they can't handle all the parking and the traffic and everything like that.
So if it's like Bailey, what are they even called? Baileyiners? What are their names? What do you call Bailey people?
Baileyans.
Bailey.
Bailey, what do you guys... Bailey, tell us what you guys call yourselves.
Put it down there in the comments.
But yeah, you definitely feel the feel. Evergreen is like the big mountain town host. Prices are higher. But they're all cool and they're all unique. And I think what makes the town is the people and your neighbors. Mm-hmm. And some people love the community aspect. Even some like smaller HOAs, I know some small areas will have their own little festival.
Yeah, us over in the meadows, we have a Easter egg hunt. We have a trunk or treating because our houses are all further apart. So we kind of all line up down one road, and every family just opens up their tailgate and lets the kids just like walk down the one road.
Hooray, let's hear it for our road.
Just because no one's going to be driving around the whole neighborhood. It takes forever. And, I mean, there's fun stuff that we do. We have a Christmas best decorations handout. Like, little dumb shit, but it's fun.
But it is fun. So whether it's like Bailey, it's Evergreen, or it's Conifer, we've got the spot for you, and we'd love to help you find that spot. Like you can see, is like no one area is perfect, but there is maybe a perfect spot for you. So I brought that home. So don't forget to subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, a little comparison video, and we'll see you out there. Any last thoughts?
Bailey, Conifer, and Evergreen are really, really fun. So if you at least get an opportunity, just come check it out.
Check it out, man.
Check it out.
Check it out.